extremely well labeled, so that we actually understand the relationship between these things. But this is sort of where I think the intuition breaks down. Sometimes I feel as though modeling, actually trying to figure out what types of links between these entities, is folks thinking that there is sort of a state of the world that God set forth, and our problem is actually trying to divine what the model should look like. And I think that's sort of not correct. I think the model is, in some sense, arbitrary, and I think the types of applications and the things that people are doing with it are driving a lot of sort of how we should be thinking about the model. So when I actually think about vocabulary, and that is all of these connections, I think of it as a very social process. You have somebody out there who says, oh, contains and contained by and nationality and education. And I think that these are reasonable ways to describe the relationships between entities. And the blue guy goes, oh, yeah, I kind of see how that graph fits together, and I understand sort of what relationships you were trying to describe. Now, this isn't new in some sense. The idea that vocabulary or ontology is actually a social contract is something that I think Tom Gruber in particular has written about fairly eloquently. But I'm fairly pragmatic about what I mean by semantics. And that is, I literally believe that it is enough to say it's communicating meaning such that we can have a result in an action that, well, we actually find consistent. And that is that blue guy can actually write code that responds to this graph in some consistent guy with red guy's expectations. Right? The application, given the data, does something that he thinks is sort of reasonable. And there's a reason why I take this sort of approach, and that's because actually I'm a behaviorist.